Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome AMLE Executive Director, Dr. Will Weidlich.
I got this feeling inside my bones.
This morning, anybody got any good feelings out there about middle school? Do you actually love middle school? That's what I thought. That's why you're here. Today we have, you have coming into your second day of 3 days of amazing professional development, specially designed for you. Also, you're probably connected with lots of other educators that are passionate about middle-level education, whether you did that here in sessions, last night at a bar, or last night at the pool, but I'm sure you did the work that you need to enhance the work that you do with your students. And speaking of that, at AMLE, we have the 16 characteristics of effective middle grade schools that you can use in your classroom, and we call it This We Believe. And that document creates a common language for us to speak and a common foundation for us to build upon. And we're going to be talking more about that today. But to start with, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Herschel Lyons. Mr. Lyons was appointed the Florida Department of Education K-12 Public School Chancellor in March 2015. This role is essential to setting the tone and leading Florida's public elementary, middle, and high schools to success. Chancellor Lyons came to the Florida Department of Education with over 3 decades of in-school experience and a track record of applying innovative approaches to innovative outcomes. Ladies and gentlemen, the Florida Department of Education K-12 Public Schools Chancellor, Mr. Herschel Lyons.
Wow. My goodness, wow. So let me begin by sharing with you that the Commissioner of Public Schools, or the Commissioner of Education for our great state of Florida, Pam Stewart, sends her regrets that she's not able to be here with you today. But I can tell you her focus hasn't waned. Not at all. As you know, we are experiencing the results of Hurricane Michael, and I am so humbled to another dimension the difficulties that our children are experiencing in the hurricane. I can tell you, second, I want to welcome each and every one of you to the greatest state, to the vacation capital of the world. I pray that you had an awesome time last night, but I know I did. We left the state board meeting yesterday in Crystal Lake, Florida, which is between Orlando and Tampa, and we had an awesome time. We had some great things to happen. This morning, I want to briefly share with you the critical work being done in Florida to close the achievement gap, to ensure that every child has a world-class education. See, I can speak on this because I just learned from the trifecta in the back, which is coming out after me, and I'm gonna hurry up and get out of their way, that when I was born and raised in Nashville, Tennessee, do we have anyone that's familiar with Tennessee State University and the projects right behind Tennessee State University? That's where myself and 4 other brothers grew up. And it just still shakes me that I'm introduced as the Chancellor of K-12 Public Schools, responsible for 2.8 million students, 195,000 teachers, and over 45,000 schools. It shakes me. But I would be remiss if I didn't step back and say to you middle-level teachers, Herschel Lyons would not be here without you. I was a mess all day, every day. So much of a mess that I was placed in the 5th reading group. That wasn't the highest group. Number 1 was the highest group. But because of Mr. Hammonds, the science teacher in 8th grade, the light came on. he made sure that although I may have been from a difficult community, that didn't mean that I have to stay there. And he held me accountable. And he made sure that I was encouraged. And he made sure that I paid the price, just as you do. I can tell you in the state of Florida, according to NAEP, and all know what NAEP is, in the state of Florida, we had the most significant improvement in reading and math for 8th grade. The most, the state of Florida. And that's because of the work that you are doing, our Florida teachers that are out there, and that conference that are out there. So I want to step back a little bit and share with you my professional career. I understand you honored Kathy S.H.I.N.E yesterday. Well, a little bit of history about Kathy S.H.I.N.E. When I was coming through elementary school as a physical education teacher, and then moved to the middle school as a dean, and then I was asked if I would be interested in going into administration. Kathy S.H.I.N.E grabbed my hand and said, "We can do this." So I want to publicly thank Kathy S.H.I.N.E for her guidance. Now, as we talk about the closing achievement gap in the state of Florida, the commissioner talks about it every day, all day. And although we're the only state that narrowed the gap, according to Education Week, the reality is we still have 10% of our non-white students not graduating, lower than the white students, 10%. And with African American males, it's 20%. That's unacceptable. How can I stand here and say that's okay? But we can talk about it and bring awareness all we want. Some very quick strategies as I get out of your way are: one, as you provide high quality instruction, you need to ensure that is at grade level appropriate. It doesn't matter who the student is or where they are. Yes, you have to provide the support. But research has clearly identified that when students are given grade level appropriate tasks, they have a 60% better chance of performing on grade level. 60%. That's one strategy. The second strategy that's near and dear to my heart is mentoring. I can tell you, if it wasn't for the people in my life, not just my parents, I was blessed to have them both, but coaches and teachers forever holding me accountable. But you have to match a mentor with that student that have not performed at grade level. Match them together. At Newberry High School and Oakview Middle School in Alachua County, we had the opportunity to do that. And the performance of the students made a difference. At the state of Florida, at the Department of Education, that is what we're focusing on. Those two strategies in order to close the achievement gap. And last but not least, because I'm hoping that he's in the audience, Dr. Paul George. Now, the story about Dr. Paul George, when I started my administration time, during the training, Dr. George was standing in front of us, training us and carrying on. Then all of a sudden he said, "My wife teaches at Moses McKissick Elementary School." I froze, because that is the school that's right in the projects, right over the hill from Tennessee State, and she was there when my younger brothers was there. People, we're not here just by chance. There's a reason why we're here. There's a reason why you love the children that you love. But most importantly, when we work together to ensure that those students that historically haven't performed on grade level and been successful to attain college or career, when we do that, we will change the entire world. Thank you for your service. I love you, and have a great day.
Well, Chancellor Lyons, I don't know if anybody else can top that, but when you have your state official here in town that can relate to each and of us in middle school that well, it speaks highly of the educational system here in the state of Florida, and thank you very much. This morning, I have the pleasure to introducing our general session speakers, LaVonna Roth, Marlena Gross-Taylor, and Peter DeWitt. Whether we work with students, educators, administrators, or pre-service teachers, these speakers are going to help us understand how we make the difference. Our first speaker is best-selling author of the Brain-Powered Strategies to Engage All Learners and the 7-book series Brain-Powered Lessons to Engage All Learners. Please welcome to the stage LaVonna Roth.
Fabulous. Would you do me a favor, because it's early in the morning, do me a favor, turn to someone near you. So turn to someone near you, look them straight in the eyes. Yes, make it uncomfortable. All right, looking the person straight in the eyes, would you tell them the following? Times may change. Education may change. We may change. But one thing I know, I will always be better looking than you. High five your partner. I'm so excited. I love you all because middle school is a hard one. No, it's actually a fun one, right? So I'm going to introduce you to a former student of mine. This is Jessica. Jessica, I had her when she was a 7th grader in the great state of Ohio. OH! Thank you for having my back. Yes, but I moved from the great state of Ohio to now I live in Tampa, Florida, just down the road, and I lost track of Jessica, just like we do as we teach. You know, we start to, whether we move, whether we don't move, we start to lose track of students. So 16 years after having Jessica, 16 years later, I get this Facebook message. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but I want to point out a couple things. We all have that teacher that leaves a lasting impression on our life. That teacher, unlike any other teacher, no matter where life takes you, always seems to cross your mind every now and then. And if you go to the end, she says, I do know that I was not the smartest student you taught in your career by far, but that's not how you made me feel in your class. You always made me feel like I was your priority. So I messaged Jessica back and I said, Jessica, it is so incredible to be connected back with you, but I have to tell you I'm extremely disappointed in your message because you do not mention the incredible hours and hours of awesome lessons I taught. What does Jessica talk about? Yeah, how she felt, right? This is not about me, though. This is about you, the difference that you make. You impact students every single day, every moment. The question I ask you to reflect upon is, are you impacting them in a positive way or a negative way? Because either way, we make an impact. It's the same thing getting on the elevator this morning. If I make eye contact with somebody and I choose to not smile or say hi, did I impact that person? Yes, because the moment we had eye contact was the moment I made impact. And then the moment that I decided to not smile or to look away, I also made the impact. And unfortunately, that one's a negative one. So we make an impact every single day with what we do, but we also have to remember the importance of communicating and connecting with others. So a few years ago, you heard that I, have author of Brain-Powered Strategies to Engage All Learners and Brain-Powered Lessons to Engage All Learners. But a few years ago, I wasn't getting to the heart of what I really wanted to. I love working with educators on neuroscience and how does the brain learn and doing it all through strategies that you can take back. And that's what one of my sessions will be today. But I really wanted to get to the heart of how do we make that impact with kids, and especially the word smart. So I started Ignite Your Shine, but I'll be honest with you, shine was not originally the word. The word was originally smart. Because what I'm going after in education is that I believe every child is gifted. The question is how. It's not about being gifted in math and science. Every child is gifted, the question is how. And somebody said to me, right or wrong, somebody said to me, LaVonna, you will never change the definition of smart in education. Part of my personality said, watch me. And part of my personality said, but what if they're right? And so I ended up thinking about the word, and I'm grateful to them because the word changed from smart to the word shine. And then I struggled with the beginning, and one morning, I don't know when you all do your best thinking, but apparently mine's 5:30 in the morning, popped up in bed, and I said, it is ignite your shine. That's the word. And when I looked it up in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, as you can see, it means to give life or energy to someone. Wow. That is the impact that you get to make every single day with those middle school kids who have the hormones flying, have no idea what to do, when to do, who to turn to, who to trust. Wow. That's what you get to do, is to give life and energy to others. And I thank you so much for that. Because I'll introduce you to part of what my personal story has to do with, and I'll share more of my personal story later on. It's a pretty big one. But I'll share with you my daughter. This is my daughter, Maddie. And don't even go, oh, she is so cute. No, she is not, right? No, but this is my daughter, Maddie, no. And when she was 2 years old, I'll never forget, I said, Maddie, go brush your teeth. And she said, no, I not want to. I said, honey, you've got to brush your teeth. They're going to rot and fall out. No, I not want to. I said, okay. So I did what all good moms do. I dragged her down, strapped her, drug her into the bathroom, right? Shoved the toothbrush in her mouth because I was going to show her who was boss, right? Yeah. So the next time, Maddie, go brush your teeth. No, I not want to. I was like, wait, we're going to do this again? Oh, yeah, we're going to do this again and again and again and again. And finally, it hit me one day. I was like, okay, choices. Okay, you either brush your teeth or you don't. Nope. Okay, in the classroom, you use choices all the time. Oh, I got it. Maddie, go brush your teeth. No, I not want to. I said, would you like to brush your teeth now or in 1 minute? She looks at me, she goes, 1 minute. Okay, at the age of 2, does she understand time? No, but she does understand choice, right? So I said, wait, you're going to wait an entire minute to go brush your teeth? You know, I have to exaggerate it a little bit. And she's like, 1 minute. I said, all right. So it's been about 15 seconds. She doesn't know time. 15 seconds. I say, hey, Maddie, it's been a whole minute. Go brush your teeth. She marched her little tush in there and brushed her teeth. And I was like, what? This is magic. This is amazing. Unfortunately, that didn't work every time, right? But I share with you this because this is my child today. No, still not cute. No, 18. You hear the word teen, right? 18. Yeah, no, she's actually an amazing child. But the reason I share this with you is because she was diagnosed with ADD. We pretty much knew in 4th grade, but by 6th grade, starting middle school, we did that. We actually had her tested. And I decided to get a 504. Several things happened with the 504, but I had put in there that I'd like for her to have additional time. And one of the teachers at the meeting looked at me and she said, that's not fair. And I said, okay. And part of me, Mama Bear, wanted to come out, and say, you want to know what's not fair? I'll tell you what's not fair. Having a child who struggles and wants to do their best, but you're lecturing and they're trying to get the notes at the same time that you're lecturing. Now there's two different things. And then I was like, LaVonna, stop. Right? This has to come to questions. So I asked her, I said, can I ask you why you think that's not fair? And she said, well, why does your child get additional time and mine doesn't? And why does your child get additional time and other kids don't? I said, I actually don't disagree with what you're saying. I said, but let me ask you this. Is your role, is your goal to show that a child can do it in a certain amount of time or to show that a child learned it? And she said, well, to show that a child learned it. And I said, well, you know what? You and I are on the exact same page. And then I was that parent. I pulled out 2 brain scans. Yeah, I was. And I said, what you're seeing here is two brains, right? But it's actually the same brain, but you'll notice the difference. And it looked like holes in the brain here, at the very frontal lobes here. I said, but what you're actually seeing is the same brain. And when this child has undergone stress, the blood flow backed out of the frontal lobes where they do their logical thinking and reasoning, their planning, their decision making, all their executive functions here. It literally backs out and goes to here and here. They cannot be in a thinking mode if they're back here and here. And the science teacher was like, LaVonna, that is so cool. And I was like, I know, right? And everybody else was like, we have her all year long. You know the feeling, right? I'll be honest, that was the only time I ever walked in that school for that reason, because I had to hand it over to the teachers, but I also gave it to my daughter to be her own advocate. Unfortunately, my child did not advocate for herself because she did not want to stand out in front of her peers. And the first time she does decide to do it is her junior year in high school. And a teacher told her that she already had enough time to go sit down. And when she said, I want you to understand I have a 504 that allows me additional time, he looked at her and he said, in front of the entire class, an average kid can do it in 20 minutes. You had the whole period. Sit down. My daughter has never advocated for herself since. I've tried. But when she shut down like that, no. I'm excited to say to you, though, because I really worried that my daughter was going to drop out. But she graduated last year as a senior, and she's now at Florida Gulf Coast University, working in entrepreneurship. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. But I share that with you because, again, it's the impact that you make. But I know that you make a positive impact, and how do I know that? Because you're here. You're taking time to be away from your family, away from other things, and to be here. But unfortunately, what ends up happening is sometimes is with children, the self-esteem begins to go down. And so I love this picture because what I want to drive home with this, every single one of us, we sometimes see ourselves as a kitten, but we are a lion, right? We are a lion of greatness. Our students are a lion of greatness. And I remember one time I was going to go give a talk, and I was petrified. You all probably think that, oh, she's not nervous. No, I get nervous every time. Okay? And so here I am, it's going to be 800 people, scared to death. I had a belt on to wear the battery pack for the microphone, put it on here. But you know how when you get nervous, you have to go to the bathroom? Yeah. So I went to the bathroom. Now, I had a dress on, I want you to know, but I had the belt. In my nervousness, apparently, I undone the belt. So I went to the bathroom, and I'll spare the details, but I went to flush the toilet, and I looked, and I went, no. My belt was in the toilet, right? And I said, see, LaVonna, it's exactly how your talk's going to go. Right? Yeah. It's going to go right down the toilet. I don't know why you think you can do this. You just need to give this up. Forget it. They're not going to... Feeling like the kitten. And then I said, all right, LaVonna, stop. Only you can decide this and change this. And this is what the mindset we have to get with every single individual, not just our students, but ourselves. I said, stop. You have a choice here. So I did what all of you would have done. I picked up the belt. Right? You can't leave it in the toilet, right? So I picked up the belt, I went out, I rinsed it off, I wiped it down with paper towels, I put them around my waist, I buckled it, I looked in the mirror and I said, LaVonna, you got this. You got this. You might smell like pee, but you got this. Yes, what's that saying? Fake it till you? Yes, not to be inauthentic. I don't believe in being inauthentic. Be true to who you are. But sometimes you have to fake it to make it so that you can convince yourself that, yes, I got this. My dream is for every student to believe that they are a lion of greatness and to know it within themselves. And by doing that, it's why I started Ignite Your Shine, because the first letter stands for self, and it is all about what our strengths, gifts, skills, talents, allowing us to break down this box of reading, writing, math, and science, and instead bring in the strengths that our students have and use that to teach. And then teach them what they can do with that strength as their career. I truly believe this is a game changer because when you look at brain research, that's exactly what it would accommodate, is helping that out. And I know, since this is about you, this is what life feels like. Is this what it feels like? Can you see it? Yeah? Okay. So it feels like that all the time. Which sign do I look at? Which way do I go? I don't know. And then we wish life looked like this, right? But it's really like this, right? So it's all about building up, student strengths and gifts, skills, talents. It's about loving you, right? Loving you. So do me a favor, turn to the person beside you and say, I am amazing and so are you. Because you see, you are amazing. And here's two distinct circles I want to make. I gave a graduation commencement speech a few years ago, and I said, I'm going to make a very distinct difference. We have a circle here, right? And this is that comfort circle, right? That circle of confidence. And we all have it. But you get crazy. You take a risk. You put a foot, maybe even just a toe outside that circle. You feel some success. What happens to the circle? And what happens to confidence? Yeah. And then you decide to take another risk. You put a foot, maybe even just a toe outside that circle, and you feel some success. What happens to the circle? And what happens to confidence? Yes. What I told those high school students, and when I work with teachers, I say the same thing to get to this to your students. This is confidence. There's nothing wrong with confidence. The problem is our society has this circle mixed up with this circle. And this is the circle of arrogance. Arrogance is the person who thinks they're all that in a bag of chips, or however that saying goes, right? This is the person who thinks they're better than somebody else. These are two different circles. But I don't know about you, whether it's that tough kid that walks in or the adult that may drive you crazy and you think they're arrogant. I have found that in most cases, they're not actually arrogant, they lack that. So if we identify some of these things, the difference between, it's not about arrogance, it's about owning who you are and being okay with who you are and learning to build that confidence. And that has been a lifelong challenge for me because of my personal story. But I've learned to step outside that circle and to work to make things happen. So I want to make sure that you take care of you. If you're going to make the difference, guys, as educators, I know you got into this for the money. I know that. Okay, no. You got into this for the passion that you have, and because of the passion, you don't take care of you. So if there's one thing I would love for you to walk away with from today, is to make sure that you take time for you, that you take care of you. Because if you don't take care of you, who will? And if you don't take care of you, who takes care of our students? As thousands of teachers leave the field every year, please make sure you take care of you. I'm going to end on this note. Do you remember this beautiful young lady, Jessica? Yeah. So Jessica, I just want to update you. She graduated from the University of Kentucky with a master's degree, and as of this year, she's officially a principal in the great state of Ohio. When I say you'll never know the impact you make, I truly mean you will never know the impact that you make. So do me one last favor. Would you look at your feet? I know it's a weird request. Look at your feet. Look at your legs. Look at your belly. Okay, quickly, look at your hands. Looking at hands, do not look at me, look at your hands. You are looking at the person who changes lives every single day. You will never be thanked enough. You do make a difference. I want you to never forget that. So turn one more time and turn to your partner and say, I'm amazing, and so are you. Thank you. So, I get to have the honor of introducing the next speaker. She is a founder of EduGladiators. Do we have any EduGladiators out there? Awesome, awesome. All right, so would you please welcome to the stage my friend, Marlena Gross-Taylor.
Sometimes I get a feeling.
Awesome. Okay, there's no way that I am going to be standing up here and you're still sitting down there. Let's get pumped up. It's Friday, and we are here at the best conference in the world. So stand up. Let's go. Pump the music up. Let's hear it. We need to wake up.
1 second, I'ma strike for you. Diamond, platinum, no more for you. That adrenaline, never giving in. Giving up's not an option, gotta get it in. Witness, I got the heart of 20 men. No fear, go to sleep in the lion's den. That flow, that spark, that crown. You're looking at the king of the jungle now. Stronger than ever, can't hold me down. 100 miles from the picture smile. Straight game face, it's game day. See me running through the crowd full of melee. No quick play, I'm good day.
Awesome, thank you, thank you. Now we're ready to talk about middle school. How about that? Yes, yes. Thank you everyone for having me. I am honored to be back on the AMLE main stage and sharing with you about the absolute best level of education ever. Yes, I am biased, completely biased. I love the middle level, and I'm so glad to be around people that are crazy like I am, and crazy for middle school, okay? Because that's you. So we're gonna have some fun today as we talk about the door of opportunity. But before we get started, I wanna share a couple of fun facts, because there are a lot of people here that I have not had the pleasure of meeting yet, and I'm gonna need your help with one fun fact in particular. And if you do know me well, then you probably already know that fun fact, but I am persistent in my belief, and I expect that, it's gonna happen. So here are my fun facts. The first one, I don't age. You can ask my former middle school students that are, out of college, have families of their own, and they're gonna tell you, Miss Taylor is 28 years old. They even came up with their own hashtag 28forever, and I love it, okay? I don't age. My second fun fact is that I live in Nashville, so yes, y'all will be here in my city next year, right? Who's coming to Nash Vegas? But I'm from Louisiana. Yes, and I went to LSU, so I don't want there to be any confusion why I'm not wearing any orange, okay? I bleed purple and gold, and I love my Tigers, and I love the mindset of my Tigers and my other SEC schools, okay? Third fun fact, and this is where I need your help, okay? I'm 28 forever because I'm trying to keep this all together for that day where I get to meet my boyfriend, Dwayne The Rock. Don't be jealous. Don't be jealous if that's your boyfriend too, okay? I'm gonna beat you out on this one, but I do need your help. So if there's anyone in this room of these amazing middle school educators that can help with the degree of separation so I can meet The Rock, please let me know. So make sure you follow me on Twitter so we can connect and you can say, hey Marlena, I got you. Like I need you to be here right now because this is where he is, okay? So we can make that happen, all right? Now, why would I want to share those fun facts? Well, first of all, they're just fun, and it's who I am, and I like to have fun in the middle, but I like to relate to my students. So these fun facts are 3 things that I've shared with my kids, that I've taught with my staff, that I've had the pleasure of leading, because I want them to know that I am relatable. I want them to be able to connect with me in a fun way, because we have some work to do. There is a door. There is a door, maybe plural, some doors, that we have to help our kids build. So where I'm from in Louisiana, and in my upbringing, some doors weren't available for me to open. Thankfully, I had parents and grandparents and family members and amazing teachers that said, you don't have to go through a door that's already there. You can actually build your own door. So when we talk about being a difference maker, we're talking about the opportunity that we have teaching the most incredible group of kids at middle grades how to build their door of opportunity. They don't have to wait to walk through one. They don't have to wait for a door to appear magically. We can show them how to build their own door. How about that? How about that, right? We don't have to wait for that, okay? Now, how do we help them build their own door? Well, first of all, we have to help our middle schoolers accept all of the greatness and awkwardness and quirkiness that they are, because we really don't grow out of it. If you were awkward in middle school, you're probably still kind of awkward now. And if you're not sure, just ask your colleague that came with you, okay? Just ask them that came with you. We need them to accept all of their little awkwardness that they have, because we want to create individuals, young minds, that do more than this. This is not what it's about right here. Now, it's important. I totally get that, right? It gives us information and data, but this is not what it's about. I shared in my sessions yesterday that in Nashville, we have an Entrepreneurial Center that was built by the creator of Ticketmaster. He lives in Nashville, and he gives quite generously to our schools there in Tennessee. And so he created an Entrepreneurial Center because he said, I did this as a startup, and I want Nashville to be like a startup capital, along with the music, here in our country. I want this to be the hot spot. So all of our schools in Nashville really focus on helping kids build their own door, whatever that might look like, and not on this. Not on this. In order to do that, though, we have to help our kids, again, embrace who they are. Now, how many of you have seen The Greatest Showman? Like all-time favorite movie. If your hand is not raised, that's your homework for tonight, okay? You have to watch The Greatest Showman. There's no way you can watch that movie and not be inspired. One of the things that P.T. Barnum says is that no one ever made a difference by being like everyone else. Right, wrong, or indifferent about P.T. Barnum, that's something that I think we all can relate to. And that's something that I think we need to share with our students. Being different is okay. We're all different. And learning how to work collaboratively in a group, leveraging our differences to be our strengths, that's how you help build some of those doors. Connecting with your students, letting them see that you're different too, that's how you help them build those doors. You're opening up their minds. You're changing their mindset that they are more than just a number. They are more than just a test. That they have so much greatness and potential inside of them, and that they are enough. And that's the message we have to share with our students. Now, if you follow me on social media, you'll know that I am a proud mother. Like, super proud. It's Friday, it's football. I have one playing tonight in high school. I'm flying to Notre Dame or to San Diego tomorrow. I have one playing at the Naval Academy. And I'm often asked, like, how are your kids so awesome? How did you know they'll be great? Well, they had no choice but to be great. I'm their mother. Duh, right? Like, I take full credit for all of the awesomeness. And any bad traits, they come from, you know, the dad, right? It's totally fine. They're all cool with that. But what I tell friends that ask me that is because I believed in my own kids enough that they had no choice but to be amazing. They had no choice but to be absolutely amazing. So the kids that I had the pleasure of teaching, the schools that I've had the pleasure of leading, I tell them we're like the Rainbow Coalition. You're my kids. And I won't expect anything out of you that I don't expect out of Daniel and Colin. So you have no choice but to be great. Because I'm going to teach you how to be your very, very best. Whatever that best is, whatever that gift is, I'm going to teach you how to be amazing, how to be great. See, sometimes we have to believe in our kids, especially at this age, enough until they start believing in themselves. We know the research about adolescents. Oh my goodness, it's like herding cats to get them to go to their locker and to first period on time, right? Have you seen the lockers of some of your kids, right? It's a disaster zone, all right? So they have so many things that they're dealing with. Their bodies are changing, their minds are developing, that we need to take some of that pressure off of them and just remind them that they're gonna be fine. They're gonna grow up and they're going to be fine. And they have such opportunity to do some amazing things in this world and with their lives. Plus, as I told my two boys, you can't move back home, so you have to be great, all right? I'm a few months from being an empty nester, so I'm kind of looking forward to it, all right? And helping them in their next journey. But they have no choice but to be great, and we're gonna teach them how to do that. And many of you are already doing that already. Because here's the thing, once your kids in your class, once the kids in your school, once they become fearless, they're not afraid to make mistakes. They're not afraid to try. You've built a culture in your classroom and your school of risk-taking, true risk-taking. Once they become fearless, life becomes limitless. Now, starting from areas of strength, our kids, they're Gen Zers, which means they have never known the world without a smartphone. Not a flip phone, a smartphone. Okay, so for those of you that have flip phones, I'm not judging, but I'm kind of judging, okay? Get a smartphone. They've never known life without that. And your kids, they are fearless in posting on social media, right? Well, let's tap into that fearlessness. Let's tap into that area of strength and show them how to use the digital tools that are at their fingertips, that are part of the fabric of their lives, how to use that to create opportunity for themselves. Once they learn how to do that, they absolutely will be limitless. My youngest son, that's the senior playing tonight, he surprised me. He's my Duke Tip kid. He's actually my gifted kid. Sometimes drives me to happy hour because he's smart and lazy. Do you have any kids that are smart and lazy like that at times? He calls it working smarter, not harder. I disagree. He tells me last year when he was in his junior year at a counseling meeting that he didn't want to go study engineering. He's a Gator fan, I know. I know my Floridian people are very happy about that. I promise he was raised in Louisiana and born there. But he wanted to go to Florida all these years and be an engineer. And he told me last year, he said, Mom, you know what? I'm gonna follow my passion and I wanna study paleontology. Who knew? I took him to University of Florida football camp one time and we did the tour to the Natural Science Museum and there you go. So I'm gonna have a paleontologist, looks like, and I couldn't be happier because if he wasn't fearless, if he didn't think anything was possible, he would never probably choose that. I mean, how many paleontologists do you know, right? when our kids become fearless, they truly become limitless. And then with that being limitless, we have to give them a sense of urgency. Now is the new later. So think about what you're doing in your classrooms, what you're doing in your schools to help prepare your kids. And it doesn't always have to be something that is, I think sometimes STEM and SEMA are like our catchphrases. It sounds good to say, oh, we're a STEM school, you know? Well, they still have to read. They still have to do language arts. They still have to do math, right? They still need social studies. So how are we putting all these pieces together with a sense of urgency that's starting from our kids' strengths, whatever their interests are, and building it up? Why can't my son, who's always liked dinosaurs, be a paleontologist? Why can't he? What is it that your kids want to do in your classroom? Do you know? And when you hear what their dreams are, what their goals are you helping them create a plan to get there with a sense of urgency? Are you helping to connect the dots? Part of me being 28 forever is not just because I don't like to age, but it's about staying relevant and being able to share with our kids the story that they truly can do anything. Now, I had, in my last middle school that I led, I had a motley group of kids that were so fun and so different and so authentic, and they were not the best math students. And that was something our school was charged with, increasing our math scores. So I like to play chess, not checkers. So yes, we're gonna do our math work and we're gonna do small group instruction in stations and get that going. But I needed to relate to those kids. So I challenged my teachers, how can we get our kids to be more involved in math and see it more than just a class? Well, we came up with the Launch Club. And kids, and some of our kids that struggled the most, wanted to be part of this club where they learned over the course of a quarter how to build a weather balloon. Our kids built a weather balloon. These are some of the boys here, and girls are in the background. They were boys and girls together. Our elementary school came to the field, to our field, and so did the high school students. They actually bused some of our high school students down to see our launch. The news was there. It was awesome because our kids did something that they were not, they never thought that they could do. They built a weather balloon and captured this picture. You can't tell me what our kids can't do because they can do anything. And it's okay to be different. They each had different strengths. They worked on this balloon all quarter long, and they grabbed this shot right here. When I look at this shot, I see that nothing is impossible. I gave them the tools, I gave them the freedom, I gave them the empowerment, the teachers along with them to just be great. And I told them, I'm just gonna let you be great. Go be you and go be great. Tell me what you need, and I'm here to make sure that you have it. If you've ever seen the movie, The Imitation Game, write it down if you haven't. It will change your life. Alan Turing actually created the first computer, broke the code during the war, and Alan Turing has a story in and of itself that's pretty amazing, but no one thought that this guy could do something so amazing, which is why we have smartphones and computers. And he said this during his lifetime, sometimes it's the people no one imagines anything of who do the things that no one can imagine. Your kids can build all kinds of doors. Just make sure you give them the tools to do so. Thank you so much for having me here today. It's been an honor. The time went by way too fast. I'm excited to introduce our next speaker, who is a former school principal in upstate New York. He is now a visible learning trainer. Before becoming a principal, he taught elementary school for 11 years, and his syndicated blog, Finding Common Ground, is published by Education Week. You already know who he is. I'm excited to introduce him. Please welcome Peter DeWitt.
Strangers in this town.
Good morning, everyone. All right, do me a favor. I would like you to stand up. Don't worry, I'm not going to have you dance because I can't dance. So I can't model it for you, but please stand up. You've been sitting for a while. I just want you to look at the partner next to you, and I want you to 2 sentences. You're not going to have to say that they're good looking. You're not going to have to look them in the eyes. I won't have you do any of that. But what I would like you to talk about for just 30 seconds is, what does school climate mean to you? What does school climate mean to you? 30 seconds, please. All right, so when I say waterfall, you say shh, waterfall. All right, some of you are looking saying, he is so elementary. I hope you don't mind welcoming an elementary guy into your middle level conference. I'm very honored to be here. One of the things that I've always been very passionate about is this high idea of school climate, because quite honestly, it is the umbrella under which Herschel talked this morning, LaVonna talked this morning, and Marlena. How about a round of applause for those 3 speakers? When they said, Peter, you're going to go last, I'm like, really? Can I go first? Here's the thing. School climate is really difficult these days because you have a lot of issues that you are working around. We all come with stories. All of our kids come with stories. But schools right now are a very complicated place. We have to worry about the academic needs of our students, but also we have to worry about the social emotional needs. When I write about social emotional learning for Education Week, it is the topic that gives me the biggest pushback. People say there is no time for social emotional learning in our schools. Schools should be focusing on academics, and I think that sounds really wonderful. I would love for all of us to be able to do that. School climate is something that's complicated because it's about how do we feel when we're walking into schools these days? Do we feel welcome? We talk a lot about it's important to be different, but there are kids that just want to be accepted too. So one of the things that I always focus on when it comes to school climate are minoritized or marginalized populations. So I thought when they asked me to speak about school climate this morning, that I would give you some enabling conditions. I did my doctoral work many years ago. I finished in 2010. And what I looked at is how well school administrators safeguard LGBT students. And at the time, it was considered a very controversial topic, which was a little sad for me. But the only reason why one of the major reasons why I was looking at doing that topic was that 2 years later in New York State, we were going to have the Dignity for All Students Act, which meant that all schools needed to be prepared to include all populations. And what I found through the research is that they were not. In actuality, I got turned down for my research. I got turned down from some of the best schools in New York State. I actually sent an email to a woman who was the superintendent just north of me and asked her if I could do my surveys in her school district. And she seriously emailed me back and it just said, no. And I thought, So I was going to reply and say, I feel like you're on the fence about this. Could we, how do I get you right over? Now, sadly, in 2018, the experience is the same. It's still considered a controversial topic. But as Herschel was talking about this morning, we still have an issue with African American boys, or even in many of our schools, our African American populations. I get to work around North America, the UK, Australia. And we all have students that don't feel like they belong. And when I was growing up, I was one of those students, believe it or not. So what I started looking at is, what do we need to be able to do? What do you need to do to ignite that shine that LaVonna was talking about? How do you get kids to raise to their potential like Marlena's boys have done? Well, first and foremost, students need an emotional connection to their school. My friend Russ Quay has surveyed well over 1 million students over the past few decades. He does an incredible amount of work in student voice. And about 35% of the population that answered, the students that answered the survey, said, my teacher doesn't know my name. Well, that's a problem. We need to use artifacts that they understand. Music, pop culture, even social media, like Marlena was talking about. But we also have to understand cultural nuances. When I taught in a couple of high-poverty city schools. And I really wanted to know, how do I get my very diverse school, my very diverse class of students, how do I include them into the conversation? And that was in the mid-90s. And then years later, when I was doing my doctoral work, I found that I needed to be able to offer the same. So I thought that that would be the thing that I could offer to you. First and foremost, to get this done, to make sure that our students can ignite their shine, and to make sure that you can actually teach the things that you want to be able to, we need to have school board policies and student codes of conduct. And those board policies and codes of conduct need to add language that says that we can teach inclusive curriculum. What we know about school board policies and codes of conduct is that these are the law that actually support you. Not everybody loves teaching about controversial topics, and this morning when I'm doing a session on collaborative leadership, or this afternoon when I'm going deeper into school climate, what I found over the years is it's really a matter of self-efficacy. It's about you feeling comfortable, having a belief that you can do these things, but also having backup by administrators like me to be able to do it. Images in hallways. This comes from my friend Tim Lauer, and he sent me this picture. I saw it on Instagram. I asked him if I could use it. It's from Orchard Elementary School. Imagine what it's like to walk into a school like this and see a mural like this on the walls. Imagine how engaged you would feel if you saw yourself represented up on the wall. Now, some of you might be sitting there saying, that's really nice. You know, it's a great image. Images aren't that important. If they weren't, then you wouldn't be on Facebook, Instagram, and you wouldn't be tweeting out pictures from the selfie booth. We know that we live through images. One time I was given a breakout session at the National Superintendent's Conference, and I had a superintendent from Florida come up to me later, and he said, before he came to Nashville, or Nash Vegas, I love that. That's what Marlena called it. Before he went there for the conference, his elementary principal invited him over to see a new mural they were painting on the walls. And when he went to look, the principal was very excited about it. And the superintendent said, well, it needs some work. And the principal's shocked. Why does it need some work, he asked. Well, because you have a very diverse school and every child in that mural is white. See, there's a thing that's interesting about school climate. There's the curriculum that we teach and the hidden curriculum that we teach as well. Kids know when they're missing from the dialogue. They know when they're missing from the images. Inclusive books, novels, and curriculum. Now, I told you before that my doctoral research was in safeguarding LGBT students, but I want to give it to you another way. Like Herschel, LaVonna, Marlena, I have a story as well. I'm the youngest of 5 kids, and I was retained in 4th grade. I often say that I loved Mrs. Flynn so much, I had her twice. My dad passed when I was in 5th grade, and my mom went back to get her GED when I was in 6th grade. I struggled throughout middle school. I felt completely lost. I even struggled so much that in high school I was a sub-sophomore because I didn't have enough credits to be a full-fledged sophomore. So what did they do? They put me in a freshman homeroom. And why? Because maybe if they shamed me a little bit, I would work harder. I didn't. What we know is that when you're 2 years older than the kids sitting around you, like I was, you're highly at risk of dropping out. But I wasn't able to do that because my siblings would have killed me. So I started running my junior year in high school, and I had some really awesome coaches. In fact, I still talk to them to this day. And my coaches said, DeWitt, you're not going to be a professional runner, but we need you to graduate from high school. And I did. I actually graduated from high school ranked 262 out of 266. I was 4th from last in my class. Now, some of you are sitting here saying, seriously, we got up at 7 a.m. for number 262? They couldn't bring in 259, 260. Now, my stellar academic career continued to the point that I failed out of 2 community colleges, and I only went to the 3rd community college because my sister Trish said, I want you to have more than we have. I want you to get a 2-year degree. So I walked into Hudson Valley Community College, and I only went there because I had a cross-country team. And my coach there said, DeWitt, you're not academically eligible to run with us. You need to go into the Learning Assistance Center. And I did, because he held the carrot over me. I could only run if I went in. So that semester, I walked in with a 1.7 GPA, and I walked out with a 3.86. I now have 2 master's degrees and a doctorate. But the truth is this, it took me years to get over the fact that I felt like I was on the outside looking in. And the reason why I have inclusive books, novels, and curriculum up there is because never in my life, in my years that I was in elementary school or middle school or even high school, was I introduced to a book where there was a one-parent household where the father had passed away. So for those years, I felt very different from everybody else. And if you're not using books that include all of the population from your classrooms, there are kids that feel left out as well. There's another thing that's really important, common language and common understanding. Here's the thing. I wrote a blog that I posted last Sunday. It was called 8 Super Important Educational Words That Literally Have Different Meanings. I figured I'd use my 2 favorite words from 2018, super and literally. And every time I use them, they neither mean super nor do they mean literally. But here's what I find when I go into schools. I do capability assessments. I see the language that people are using. I do my work's been adopted at the state level, the university level, for leadership. And one of the things that I find is that we might have a common language, but we don't have a common understanding. For example, say I'm your principal, and my thing is looking for student engagement. In fact, I'm going to use a word that I learned a few weeks ago in Athens, Georgia, when I was giving a keynote there. On rigor walks. I really haven't heard of rigor walks. I had to ask, does that mean you're looking for rigor or you walk really fast? So when you're walking really fast through the room, you know you're looking for student engagement. That's my thing. I saw it on the Twitter. I want to be able to look for student engagement. But here's the deal. What if my idea of student engagement is that kids are all sitting down, 1, 2, 3, eyes on me? And your idea of student engagement is when kids are up and moving and they're doing more talking than you are. What if we never have that discussion? I'm going to walk in and I'm going to ding you on that walkthrough. I'm going to give you feedback. Maybe I'll even leave a feedback sheet where I say, yeah, your classroom management was a little bit off. And why? Because your idea of student engagement and mine are 2 different things. If we never talk about these words, and we use them all the time, right? In education, it's amazing. A couple of years ago on Facebook, I posted a comment. I said, educators, please tell me the words that you don't like to hear in education. Feedback came up. Rigor. My favorite. fidelity. I had a friend contact me and say, unfortunately, instructional coaching. And when I asked why, she said, because our instructional coaches are used as compliance officers. We use the same language all the time, but we don't have the same understanding. So if I look at you and say, so, if you could paint a picture of student engagement, what does that look like? At least we'll have an opportunity to have that common language and common understanding. So repeat after me. Common language is important. Common understanding is more important. I don't want to judge you, but that was a little pathetic. Let's try that again. Common language is important. All right, we're getting there. Common understanding is more important. Okay, now I feel better. Come on, help me out a little bit. I'm following LaVonna and Marlena. The other thing that I want you to keep in mind is that we live in very difficult times, and there are times that we can't know how to do all of what you're being asked to do. You are not able to be an expert when it comes to academic and social emotional learning, and that is okay. In New York State, where I come from, the reality is they are the first state that is incorporating mental health curriculum in schools. And I think that's wonderful, but the reality is not everybody is prepared to actually teach mental health curriculum. So one of the enabling conditions means that sometimes we have to work with outside groups. Sometimes we have to work with professionals that are outside of our school system, agencies or departments that are going to help us build that understanding to be better. The hard part about being a teacher and a leader is that we think we're supposed to know it all, and you can't. So sometimes we have to be able to ask for help. I hope that those enabling conditions really mattered. And when I put up my Twitter address and my email address, and at the same time, I would like to invite Marlena and LaVonna out to the stage with me. And I think Will's going to come out here as well, too.
Come with me.
Coming out with me, Will? Yes. Please give a round of applause for my colleagues. Oh, Herschel's back. Good. I'm glad to see Herschel here as well. Will?
Thank you, folks. I want to give it another round of applause for today's speakers. We talked a little bit yesterday how this is home for you, and I hope these speakers have helped make you feel at home today, too. This session, as far as yesterday's session also, will be available after the conference. We'll send you an email how you can download and view the session, this video, so if you want to share this with other friends and family that you have. We also will see you downstairs in the Solutions Center for coffee and more chances to gather your middle-level money so you can bid on some great prizes. Thank you for celebrating with us this morning.